Hi everyone, it's so good to see you today. I want to talk to you about another Christmas idea. I saw this a few years ago and it was just a brilliant idea, but it has to do with when the kids get too old to believe in Santa Claus. And they do. I mean, there comes a point when they all hear the truth that Santa is really mom and dad or grandma and grandpa, and it really kind of, changes a child's perspective. But this person told her children that they become Santa's helpers at a certain age. And what that meant was that she would say, all right, pick one person in our neighborhood. I want you to kind of look and see what they need for Christmas, and we're going to surprise them. Well, they were like, really? And they said, yeah, we get to be Santa's helpers. When you're not believing that Santa's isn't real anymore, we're going to take it to another level. We're going to be Santa's helpers this year. We're going to be a blessing. And one of her sons noticed that this one neighbor came out every single day to get their newspaper without any shoes on their feet. And sometimes that concrete gets quite cold. And if you live in areas where it's, got ice and snow, and you're coming out and you don't have anything on your feet, it's going to be hard to get that newspaper. So he kind of studied them a little bit, was looking at their shoe size, trying to figure out what size they needed. And then for Christmas, what they did was they bought this neighbor a pair of really nice slippers. And they wrapped them up and they delivered them anonymously to the neighbor. The neighbor had no idea where they came from. And they noticed right after Christmas that neighbor was wearing those slippers. And they were just so pleased. It made them so happy that they could do that. And sometimes it's just the smallest things. It doesn't have to be anything great and crazy. Another child noticed that another one needed a bicycle. And this child was outgrowing theirs, so they talked to their dad, and this was a boy, and he said, this little girl down the street doesn't have one. So he goes, I'd really like to give her my bike, but it looks like a boy's bike. So he and his dad worked on it together. They painted the bike a different color. They changed the seat out. They did a couple of things differently, and they delivered it anonymously to this little girl down the street. It brings joy. It brings something that nobody else is expecting. And that's something that we need to pass on to our children. We need to say not only what people need, but things that people want. And we need to teach them from a young age. And just say, you know what, you're going to get this many gifts this year. And you can say how many gifts it's going to be. I don't know. It's up to you. And just say, but we're going to take one gift, and you're going to gift it to someone else. So we're going to either do Angel Tree, which you can do, or there's other organizations that have opportunities to give to those who are in need, and say we're going to go and find out what they need, and we're going to buy them a gift that's coming from you to them to make a difference in their lives. And there are a lot of groups and organizations out there that need presents so that they can give to children. Children are in desperate need of something, especially when they have nothing. And if you've never been there and someone gives you something that is just like a desire of your heart, it really changes them. It helps them. It brings them not just the joy that they need, but sometimes it brings them peace. It brings them love. It brings them things, and you can teach that to your children at a young age. They don't have to be 15 when you do this. You can do it as young as 6 and 7 and 8 years old. So and even younger, some of the younger kids really get into it. They really do. They're like, oh, I can give. And when my niece was really little, and I have several nieces, and this one particular niece, when she was really little, her parents said, if you want more gifts, you're going to have to go through the toys that you have that are in very good condition, and we're going to give them to someone else. You're going to sow into them. And they said, so otherwise there's no way we can bring more things into the house. And she was like, oh. But you know what? It brought her such happiness and such joy to give that she gave it willingly. She's like, this one, I want to give this one. And I want to give this one. And I want to give this one. It just made her so happy to do that. Because you're teaching them to give outside themselves. It's not always me, 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 me. It's how can I be a blessing to you? And we want to be a blessing to other people, and sometimes it's just the smallest things. Making cookies. Making cookies doesn't have to cost a lot of money. But you know what? Even if it's just regular chocolate chip cookies, and you take them next door to a neighbor, or you take them to work, or you give them to a school teacher, or whatever the case may be, it makes a difference in that person's life. It lets them know that they're seen. So teach your children how to look, how to help others, how to be a blessing, and that will change them and make them incredible individuals as they grow up. Thank you so much for joining us today. We look forward to seeing you soon. Merry Christmas.